So in the last lecture, we have covered the topic appeals and revision. And now let us start the topic offences and penalties. So before starting it, let me share the original CGST Act with you. I hope you can see this screen. Can you see this screen? Offences and penalty. I hope you can see this screen. Okay, so this is chapter 19 of the CGST Act, and the heading is offences and penalty. It's also a lengthy chapter. It starts from section 122 and it goes on till it goes on till 138, 122 to 138, but all the sections are not in our course. So let me discuss with you some relevant sections only. So now let me share with you a simplified file. This is the new file. Can you see this new Word file? Offences and penalties. Can you see this new Word file, offences and penalty? Okay, section 122 is the first section of offense and penalties. 122. Now for section 122 is the only main section. It covers almost all the issues and concerns of offenses. And broadly what you can see, these are the offenses covered. Supply without bill or supply with wrong bill, it is covered here. Supply bill issued, supply not done, that is also an offense covered here. Tax collected from the consumer but not deposited with the government within the time, that is also an offense. I failed in deducting tax at source. I failed as an electronic commerce operator to collect tax at source. I took ITC without actually receiving the goods or services. I obtained refund from the government by following fraudulent means. So as you can see, there are 21 offenses covered. There is no need to learn all these 21 offenses. You simply learn any 5 to 7, any 5 to 7. And what you should simply remember is the penalty in these cases is higher of 10,000 or actual amount which you evaded as tax, actual amount which you have fraudulently claimed as ITC, actual amount which you have fraudulently claimed as refund tax. This is the only main section of offense and penalty, section 22. Around 21 expenses, section 122, around 21 offenses are covered, and more, these 21 offenses are common offenses: issuing the wrong bill, supplying without bill, etc., etc. The penalty is flat 10,000 or actual evasion of tax, whichever is more. This is the main section, section 120. After this, what you have to do? After this, then second section is, which is in your course, is section 125, general penalty. It is a residuary section. If I have done anything not as per the law of the GST, and if my offense is not covered under other sections, then I can be penalized here under section 125 The maximum is how much? 25,000 rupees. That's it. This is the second section of penalty and offense. And the last section of our course is general disciplines related to penalty, section 126. Since GST was a new topic, so government thought that initially it is not good to impose penalty for minor breaches because people would take some time to be familiar with this law. So while framing the sections of penalty, government introduced section 126 also. And government said that while framing any penalty, the officer has to consider following points. No penalty for minor breaches. For small breaches, penalty should not be there. Then the question arises, what do you mean by minor breach? A breach is minor if the amount of tax involved is less than 5,000. It is minor breach, penalty should not be imposed. Penalty depends on facts and circumstances of each case. Every officer has to keep this in mind that it is not a standard penalty. It depends on case to case basis. No penalty can be imposed without giving the taxpayer a chance to be heard. While imposing the penalty, you should, as an officer, you cannot simply say that 10,000 is the penalty. You should specify the nature of the breach done by the taxpayer. And also, if without discovering the breach by the officer, taxpayer himself or herself said to the officer that this is the breach on my part, then these factors should be taken care of while imposing the penalty. When taxpayer himself will say to the officer, it shows the honesty of the taxpayer. So penalty should be less, or in fact, it can be ignored totally. So these are the factors which were necessary to impose any penalty under section 126. That's it. So these are the only topics which you have to cover in the chapter offense and penalty, section 122, 125, and section 126. That's it. Any doubt you ask me in offense and penalty? Any doubt you ask in offense and penalty? Shall I proceed? Any doubt in offense and penalty for our level? That much is sufficient. Shall I proceed further? I want to start with you now, unit 1. Any problem you ask me? And are you comfortable if I start with you, unit 1? Kindly reply whether I should start unit 1 or not. Are you fine if I start unit 1? Please write whether unit 1 can be started or not. So if you are in favor of starting unit 1, you simply write start unit 1. Okay, let us come to unit 1. Let us come to unit 1. Before this, I want to show you the screen of our course. I hope you can see the screen. This is our course. So let us today wind up unit 1. These are the topics of unit 1. Let us start winding one by one. Let me first discuss GST Council and GST Network. I will first discuss with you GST Council and Network, and then I will cover remaining concepts. Okay, so let me start with you GST Council. This is my GST Council concept. Now, GST Council is not defined under Acts, GST Act. It is under Indian Constitution. Article 279A talks about GST Council. So what is there in GST Council? So for this, we have to read Indian Constitution Article 279A. When the constitutional amendment was passed in 2016, then within 60 days it was necessary for the Honorable President of India to constitute a GST Council. Who are the members of GST Council? Finance Minister of India as the chairperson, Union Minister of State, etc. And all the finance ministers of states or union territories. These are the members of GST Council. What are the recommendations of the council? This council has the power to recommend to the union government and state government on the following issues. Which taxes will be merged in GST? Which goods and services will be exempt from GST? What are the model GST laws, etc.? What is the limit beyond which or up to which registration of GST is not required? Rates of GST, special provisions with these special states, northeastern states plus Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir and Uttarakhand, and any other matter which council can decide. These are the recommendations of GST. Council has the power to take such decisions. Council will decide the date on which 5 petroleum products will be within the purview of GST. That's it. So this is our GST Council. You have to simply learn it. There is nothing for me to teach in GST Council. Next concept of our unit 1, GST network. It's basically a private company. It has been given the task to help in finalizing returns, refunds, etc. So GSTN, it is nothing but GST network. We normally call it as GSTN. It's a non-government private company where government of India is having 24.5% in this. All states collectively are having 24.5% holding and non-government financial institutions 51% holding. This is the structure of GST network. But since it deals with taxation, etc., so government wanted to keep strategic control in this GST. So this control has been through board of directors. Officers of bureaucrats are deputed in this GSTN on deputation basis so that they can keep a check on the activities of GSTN. That's it. It is my GST and that's it. You have to prepare these GST Council and GST network questions for 4 to 5 marks theory. We have then GST network common portal. Section 146 of the CGST Act authorizes the government to have common portal. Where what will be done? Returns will be filed, registrations will be filed, taxes will be paid, settlement, etc. EV bill will be generated. So this we call it as common portal. And what is the website of this common portal? www.gst.gov.in. When you click it, you will be sent to GST, this common GST electronic portal where you can register yourself, you can pay the taxes, you can file your returns. It is the website which is managed by GSTN. GSTN is a company. This company has a website gst.gov.in which helps in registration, refund, etc. For e-way bill, we have a separate website, e-way bill gst.gov.in. E-way bill website is not managed by the GSTN. GSTN was only for what? Refund, returns, etc. This e-way bill website is managed by Government of India, Ministry of Electronic and Information Technology. So we have covered 2 concepts broadly, GST Council and GST Network. Let me cover with you other topics of Unit 1. So now I will tell you what we have to cover in Unit 1. Let me discuss my first topic, constitutional framework. But why there was a need to amend the Indian Constitution? Why there was a need to amend Indian Constitution? India has a federal structure where we have union government and state government. Some provisions or some areas are those where only union government has the power to make laws. Some areas are those where only state government has the power to make laws. Some areas are those where union as well as state government can frame laws. But in case of any clash, the law made by the union government prevails. So before GST came into picture, what provisions were there in India, in the Indian Constitution? There was Article 245, which says that Parliament has a power to make laws for any part of India, and state can make laws for any part of this state. Article 245. Article 246 was dealing with what? That Parliament has exclusive power to make laws which are in union list 1 of the 7th schedule of the Constitution. State has the exclusive power to make laws which are in list 2, state list of the 7th schedule of the Constitution. But as far as concurrent list 3 of the 7th schedule is concerned, both Parliament as well as legislature of the state can make laws. Then there was Article 248, residuary power. Parliament, Indian Parliament, not the state, union government has the power to make laws with respect to any matter not in the concurrent list or state list. Of course, it is logical. For state list, only state government has the power to make laws. For concurrent list, Parliament as well as state, both can frame laws. But any matter which is not listed in state and concurrent, only Parliament has the power to make laws. Then Article 265 was there, which is a logical concept. Tax cannot be imposed by a private person. Tax is only under the authority of Indian government. No private person can collect any tax without the authority of law. Now, we have some list 1 union list. You can simply read it on your screen. There is nothing to teach this unit list. But I wanted to simply show you these were the matters concerned with GST in unit list. These are some of the matters in state list. Why there was a need for constitutional amendment. So I have discussed with you the constitutional framework before GST. What you have to do in constitutional framework before GST, you must know these sections. Sorry, these articles of the Constitution: 245, 246, 248, 265, and list 1, list 2. That's it. You must know these articles or these lists in the topic framework of Constitution before GST. Now, next topic is why there was need to amend the Indian Constitution. The need to amendment was read it. Introduction of GST required amendments in the Constitution. Why? So that it will enable integration of central excise duty, state value added taxes, certain other taxes which are levied by the center into comprehensive GST, and where both center and states will be having the power to levy and collect the tax. So there were some matters which were only in the state list and taxes were collected only by the state. Let me show you some examples. This was in state list. taxes on sale of or purchase of goods other than newspapers. That means all taxes on sale or purchase of goods other than newspapers was in the state list. But now in GST that has to be with the help of state as well as center. Earlier, taxes and sale or purchase of goods other than newspaper is in the state list. But what it was saying at the same time, taxes on sale of or purchase of goods other than newspaper is in the state list, subject to the provisions of which entry? 92A of list 1. And I know that list 1 is union list. So let me show you what 92A says. This is union list 92A. Union list means only parliament has the power. Taxes on sale and purchase of goods other than newspaper. So this is same. Where such sale and purchase is interstate. So by default, what I can read that before amendment, union list number 92A was saying that all interstate sale of goods, parliament has the power to impose tax. Similarly, serial number 54 says, entry 54 says of state list, all intrastate sale or purchase of goods, the power is with the state. It is necessary to make the amendment now. Because now for intra as well as inter, both center as well as state has the power now to apply the tax, GST. That is why, so I have given you only one example. There are so many entries. It is not for your course, not in your course to understand each and every entry. I have explained one basic entry. Entry number 54 of state list was imposing the tax on sale or purchase of goods intrastate. Entry 92A of union list was imposing the tax on sale of goods interstate. But now on intra as well as inter, state as well as center has the power. That is why there was a need to amend the constitution. So what amendment was done? We added a new article 246A. And what we added in 246A? So it is a new article that it does not matter what is written in 46 and 54, 246 and 54. Do you know what was section 240? What was article 246? This was 246. That for list 1, union government has the power. For list 2, state government has the power. For concurrent list, state as well as union has the power. Now what is mentioned in article 246A? It says it does not matter what 246 and 254 says. Parliament as well as state have power to make laws with respect to GST. That's it. So now it has bypassed. This is the amendment. Article 246A says in GST, not the parliament only, not the state only, both have the power to make laws. But subject to clause 2. Now this is my clause 2. That as far as interstate is concerned, here only parliament has the power to make laws. Earlier also for interstate only parliament has the power. Now also on interstate, parliament has the power to make laws. But for intrastate, technically under this point, article 246A, now earlier only state has the power. Now parliament as well as state has the power. This is my first point. Then we added a new article 269A. And it says that in case of interstate, though power is with the parliament, union government will collect the tax, but it has to be divided between the center and the state as per the recommendations of council. Initially also, before amendment, on interstate, union has the power. Now only union has the power. But before amendment, on intrastate, only state has the power. Now union as well as state has the power. Now, why is there any state which will accept this point? That earlier only we had the power, now you as well as we have the power. So in interstate, Why you are not doing this? Why? Because government says no issue in interstate. We will be having the power, but we will divide the revenue between us and you. So such tax has to be apportioned between union and state. That's it. Now it is equal. So state as well as center are on equal footing on this. Article itself says that all imports will be treated as by default interstate trades. This is the constitution which says, not the GST acts. In case of place of supply, Parliament has the power whenever any interstate trade or commerce happens, interstate supply happen, Parliament will tell what is the place of supply so that there is no confusion which state will get the revenue. Now, Article 248 is also amendment. But earlier Article 248 was saying, 248 was saying that in case of matters which are not in concurrent and state list, only Parliament has the power to make laws. Now, what amendment is done in Article 248? Before the amendment, Parliament has the power to make laws with respect to concurrent list or state list. But now, after having new Article 246A, this 246A has become supreme than 248, and now Parliament is not only having exclusive power to make laws with respect to intra-state supplies. Both center and state will frame laws. Definitions. Article 366 of the Indian Constitution gives some definition. Amendment is done here also. New definitions have come in Article 366, which defines what is this GST. Now, it is not the Act defines, it is Constitution which defines it. Any tax on supply of goods or services except taxes on alcoholic liquor on human consumption. Article 366 of the Constitution defines what is service, which is anything other than a good. Union list is also amended. In union list, only center has the power. So my 84 entry is amended as this. You can understand it later on, not right now. I have explained these entries. These are not relevant for you at this level. That's it. These are some of the constitutional amendment. You need some time to read this amendment yourself. In this screen, my entire notes are going on. You can simply pause your recordings and you can easily search for these constitutional amendments which were necessary to impose GST. Next point, value added tax. What is value added tax? So you must know that why there was a need for GST. Now in value added tax, you are not supposed to learn this consumption variant. Ignore this. You have to simply learn the definition. Value added is what? Difference between sale and purchase and other inputs of which tax is paid. That's it. You are not supposed to learn any variant of VAT. It is outdated. Ignore it. You are not supposed to learn these points. Methods of computing VAT. Ignore it. You are not supposed to learn this. Ignore it. For VAT, though it is given in the course of Unit 1, there is no need for you to learn about VAT. Ignore it. But you must know the defects in the earlier system. Why there was a need for GST? Because you must know the defects of earlier GST, earlier system of indirect tax. There was tax on taxes. You manufacture something and then you pay the tax. You add some other thing, you pay the tax. So there was taxes on taxes. So many cases in the earlier system, when I purchased something, whatever tax I paid, when I sell the product, I cannot claim that as ITC. I couldn't claim that as ITC. There were problems when ITC was not fully allowed. This was the problem. VAT and service tax were not integrated in earlier time. If some services are used to manufacture any goods, then ITC on paid on services availing was not allowed. Now it is integrated, goods as well as service. That's it. Now this GST concept I have explained in detail. You can read it yourself. Structure is also clear of GST. There is a dual GST. Dual means separately but concurrently both. Union, CGST states. In states you have UT with legislature, UT without legislature. That's it. Some features of GST are given for self-study. You can read it yourself from this screen. Features of GST you can read yourself. It's only for the knowledge. Such questions will not come in your exam. Then rationale of GST, it only gives you the some points that what is the benefit to the society, to the nation, to the producer, to the consumer. This is rationale of GST. How it will help in doing easy business. What is the benefit to consumers, etc. This example we have already covered in so many other chapters. So no need for this to know. Then no need for this point to be known. GST concept we have covered. Now let me share with you another screen. Now see what we have covered in this unit 1. We have covered constitutional framework before GST. We have covered that what were the earlier articles before GST. Concept of VAT. There is no need for you to learn this VAT meaning variance methods. No need. You can skip this one. There is no need for you to learn. Defects in the structure of indirect taxes we should do. I have covered it that there is a tax on taxes, goods and VAT and service tax were not integrated. ITC was not allowed in all the cases. So these were the major defects. And rationale of GST is for self-study. That why it was necessary to have GST. It will help in ease of doing business. It will help producers also. They can avail ITC without any issue. Consumers will get reduction. So it was necessary to have single tax. Structure of GST, you can easily frame this. CGST, SGST, UT and IGST. GST Council I have covered, GST Network I have covered. Now what is left is only two topics in Unit 1. State compensation mechanism and registration. In registration there are some doubts whether I have covered or not. So let me complete registration again, no problem. In Unit 1 only two concepts are left. State compensation mechanism and registration, which I will discuss tomorrow. In Unit 2, 3, 4 and 5 now almost all the topics are covered except 1 or 2. Tomorrow I will try to wind up my all 5 units. Custom law is still left. So tomorrow I will try to wind up my all the 5 units, all the remaining topics of Unit 5. Now if you have any problem, you please ask. I have covered this today's lecture in at very high speed because this Unit 1 is only a clerical unit. It only requires you to read the concept. But still, any problem or any clarification which you ask from me, you please ask. Tomorrow I will wind up my all 5 units. Any problem you please ask. Any concern, any problem, any clarification which you want to take from me. This recording will help you in reading all the wordings which are written in these notes. You can anytime pause the recordings and entire screen will be available to you in front of you. Any problem you please ask or any clarification which you want to ask. Tomorrow I will wind up all the 5 units. Anything which you want to ask? Okay, so it's over from my side for today. Tomorrow let us wind up all the 5 units of GST, all the remaining topics. And get back to me in case we have any problem through email or through my phone. Okay, let us meet tomorrow. Goodbye.